Hello, friends. Let us learn today about giving presentations. In your life, you will have to give presentations on many occasions. Let us learn today about how to give effective presentations. There are 3 steps of giving presentations. First is developing content. Second is choosing proper audiovisual aids. And the third is presenting the contents. You will have to first develop the content for your presentation. Next, you will have to choose proper audio-visual aids for delivering the presentation. And finally, you will have to do the actual presentation. Let us learn about all these things one by one. Whenever you are developing content for a presentation, you must first understand that a presentation is actually a talk on some concept or an idea. A presentation is actually a speech or a talk given about something which is actually a concept or an idea. So for an effective presentation to be developed, an idea must first occur in your mind. Then you should decide whether your objective is to inform or to persuade. It means you should first decide whether by giving this presentation you intend to inform about something or to persuade the audience to choose a particular course of action or to do something that you want. Next, you should collect information about the topic on which you are giving your presentation. You should do as much research as possible. You should refer to books, magazines, internet. You can ask experts. You can Google information, and you should not forget to acknowledge the sources of your information in your presentation. It is very important. You should decide the objective of your presentation. There are several objectives. There may be several objectives. There are several objectives of a presentation, and a presentation may be intended to achieve one or more of these objectives. You should first decide what is your aim in giving this presentation. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to inform the audience about something? Is your presentation intended to be informative? Are you trying to persuade or convince the audience to do something? For example, a presentation may be about a product which you want the audience to buy. A presentation may be about a certain topic which is debatable, and you want the audience to understand or agree to your point of view. Your intention may be sometimes to inspire the audience, to stimulate them to do something. Sometimes a presentation may be done for instructing something or explaining something, as this presentation is doing. This presentation is trying to explain how to give good presentations. A presentation may be, the aim of a presentation may be simply to amuse or entertain also. So you should first decide what your objective is or what your objectives are, and then you should plan your presentation accordingly. Next step in developing content is to list out your main points. You can use a note card or a cue card to list your main points. These main points will be included in your PowerPoint slides or your cue cards. Then you should develop your arguments based on the main points that you have listed. You should extend or write the script of your talk, your presentation, based on the main points that you have just listed. You should elaborate them, and you should support your statements with reasons. You should always make a statement with reason. You should support your statements with reasons. If you can write down the script of your talk, or you may not write down the script if you are comfortable just by using note cards or cue cards, or just by looking at the slide. If you are confident enough that you can explain on the basis of cue cards or note cards or slide, then you may not write the script of your talk, but ideally it is good to write the script of your talk. This script should not be included on your slides or cards. Sometimes what people do is that they put on paragraphs with 10-20 sentences on one slide and then simply read out the paragraphs. It is important to know that the audience can read the paragraph. It is not necessary to put an entire paragraph on the slide and then read it out in front of the audience. What you should do is you should simply list your main points or sub points, and then you should explain the points. It is not proper to paste the script of your talk on the slide and then turn your back at the audience and keep reading that script from the slide. It is poor presentation. You should give a list of further reading or references at the end of your talk, if it is relevant. You should use charts, graphs, pictures, audio, and video wherever and whenever possible to increase the visual appeal and comprehensibility of your presentation. Including these things will make your presentation interesting and easier to understand. Prepare a slide which will contain a recap or a brief summary of your presentation and show this slide at the end. Remember, your presentation should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And without stating explicitly, the audience should be able to understand which is the beginning, which is the middle, and which is the end of your presentation. Your presentation must provide an answer to two important questions, and these questions are: so what? And who cares? For example, let me explain this a little bit. For example, if you are giving a presentation on, say, global warming, you should be able to answer the question, so what? That means if you are saying that global warming is bad, it is ruining our environment, you should also be able to explain, so what? And who cares? What if we do not do what you are saying? What if we do not agree with you? You should, every talk should be able to answer these two questions. What will happen? So what? What is the importance of what you are saying? And who cares if what you say is not done? Your audience will inevitably have these questions in their mind. Sometimes they may explicitly ask these questions and sometimes they may not, but they will certainly have these questions in their mind. So make sure that your presentation, your talk, answers these two questions without being asked. Now, let us move on to the next important step in giving presentations, and it is choosing proper audio-visual aids. It is important to choose proper tools for your presentation. There are several tools which can be used for giving an effective presentation. Let us have a look at what these tools are and how and when they can be used. There are different audio-visual aids or tools for effective presentation, and they are LCD projector and PowerPoint, an overhead projector, a slide projector, note cards or cue cards, flip charts or blackboards or whiteboards, interactive whiteboards, and visualizers. Let us, for those of you who may not have had the opportunity to see these tools, I have included pictures of these tools. This is an overhead projector or OHP. This projector was used earlier, and there used to be sheets of transparent plastic on which you had to write your points or your script, and this projector used to project the transparency onto the wall or the screen. This is called slide projector. A slide projector is generally used to show high resolution pictures. On a slide projector, you can watch photographs by using their negatives, which can be put on between cardboard sheets, and they are inserted into the slide projector, and then they are projected onto the wall or the screen. This is something called visualizer. It is an advanced or modern version of overhead projector, and whatever you put on the surface of this visualizer is projected on the screen or the wall. These are note cards or cue cards on which you can write your points, and you can hold these cards in your hands while talking. You can look at your points and go on explaining. This is a flip chart. You can use it as a board, like a board, whiteboard or a blackboard. You should choose the most suitable audiovisual tool for your presentation. You can use one or more. For example, you can use an LCD projector and PowerPoint, and at the same time you can use a flip chart along with it to explain or write something. You can use a visualizer along with an LCD projector and PowerPoint. You can use an overhead projector and note cards. So you can use one tool or more than one tool for your presentation, but you should judiciously choose which is the most suitable tool, or which are the most suitable tools for your presentation. You can choose one or more, as I said, but it is important to make sure that you are comfortable using that tool. You should know all the technical know-hows of using that tool. Otherwise, you may end up struggling with the handling of that tool, and the precious time of your presentation may be wasted. You should know the technical operations properly. Now, let us turn towards the last and the most important step of an effective presentation: presenting the actual content. First of all, when you begin your presentation, when you begin your talk, tell the audience what you are going to tell them. Give them an idea of what you are going to talk about, what is going to come their way. Then move on to your actual talk, the main body of your talk. Deliver your talk, elaborate your points, put your arguments forward. Tell them what you want to tell them. That means present your main content, and at the end, tell them what you have just told them. That means summarize or give a recap of what you have just talked about. I repeat, first of all, give them an idea of what you are going to talk about, then give your actual talk, and at the end, summarize your talk. Your talk will first have opening remarks. The opening remarks may contain a joke just to lighten the atmosphere, but make sure that the joke should not hurt anyone. These opening remarks may be about your topic, about the purpose of your presentation. Then give an outline of your presentation. That means tell them what you want to tell them. Switch between your points if necessary. While delivering your talk, if it is necessary, you can move back and forth between your points. You can switch between your points if it is required. You should emphasize the main points of your talk with the help of a highlighter, or with the help of your voice modulation. You should draw the attention towards the visuals explicitly. Sometimes the audience may miss a visual. Sometimes the lighting of the room may not be proper, or sometimes the quality of the visual may be poor, or whatever, for whatever reason the audience may miss the visual. You should therefore draw attention to the visuals explicitly. Try and keep the audience involved throughout your talk. You can use various techniques for this. You can keep asking questions. You can stop and make the audience reflect on what has been discussed so far. You can do small and interesting activities. This way you can keep the audience involved in your talk. At the end, do not forget to summarize and conclude. After your talk, you can invite questions, and during the question answers, you should be tolerant and you should be brief and to the point while answering the questions. Sometimes unexpected and malicious questions may come your way, but you should be tolerant, and while answering you should be brief. Do not let an answer to a question convert into another talk. So be brief. Do not enter into lengthy arguments with particularly argumentative audience. You should maintain proper posture while talking. Do not lean forward, or do not stand on one leg. Do not keep shifting your legs. Do not make awkward gestures with your hands. You should maintain proper posture. The pitch and tone of your voice should be proper. You should not be monotonous. You should vary your tone. You should vary the pitch of the voice as and when needed. Do not keep talking in a single pitch and a single tone all the time. Do not use too high a pitch of voice or too low a pitch of voice. Your body language should be positive, and your appearance should be tidy and neat. You should avoid hurting remarks and disrespectful comments during your talk. You should not be disrespectful towards any gender, any culture, any nationality, any community, or any race. You should show courtesy to people when they ask you questions or when they discuss something with you. Here are some tips for good presentations. You should not block the screen. Sometimes the speaker comes in between the projector and the screen and blocks the view of the audience. Make sure this may happen inadvertently. You do not deliberately do this, but this may just happen sometimes inadvertently. So be aware that you do not block the screen, and do not pace up and down the aisle. Do not pace up and down between the rows of the audience. That will distract the attention of the audience, and they will feel uncomfortable and they may not be able to concentrate on your talk. You should avoid cliches and scripts. Cliches are sentences which are become meaningless and old-fashioned due to repetitive use, and scripts are phrases or sentences or words that sometimes people keep using repetitively to fill the gaps. For example, you can people sometimes keep using understood, understood, understood. This is called script. So do not use cliches and scripts. Again, this is something that you end up doing unknowingly, but make a conscious effort not to do this. Do not turn your back on the audience. Do not turn your back on the audience and face the screen. Sometimes the speaker faces the screen and turns his or her back on the audience and starts reading the slide. So don't do this. Try operating the PowerPoint presentation yourself, or if somebody else is operating it for you, try and talk to that person beforehand and make sure you have a good coordination with the operator. The best way is to have a presentation remote in hand and operate or navigate through the slides, through the presentations with the help of a presentation remote. If you do not have one, it is always advisable to invest in a good presentation remote. Avoid too many animations and sound effects in your presentation. Rehearse your presentation as many times as possible. The more you practice, the better will be the quality of your talk. You can always ask me if you have any questions. Thank you so much.